Hello everyone, here we are on September 22nd, 2020 at 9:30 a.m. Happy Autumnal Equinox. So today, the 22nd at 9:30 a.m. marks the Autumnal Equinox, which is the astronomical end of summer or beginning of fall, however you want to think about it. So if we look at the words autumnal equinox, if we know a little bit about words, we can figure out what this means. In the word autumnal, I see the word autumn, which is a synonym for fall. So we know that that's the one that happens in the fall. If we look at the word equinox, we see that in two pieces, equa and then nox. Equa means equal, and nox comes from the Latin word night. So equal night. This is the time in the fall or the autumn where the day and the nights are just about even, just about 12 hours apiece. This is the midpoint in between the summer solstice, which we had back in June, the first day of summer, and the winter solstice, which will be the first day of winter later on in December. This is the astronomical start of fall, when the things in the sky line up right to let people know that it's fall time. The meteorological start of fall, which is when the temperatures typically start to go through their cycles of cooling down, actually happens on September 1st. But this is the astronomical one. We know the astronomical fall or autumnal equinox by looking at the sun and two important lines in the sky. One of the lines in the sky that we look at is this one right here. This is what we call the celestial equator. Celestial means space, and equator. If you imagine the equator on a globe like a rubber band, if you took that rubber band and stretched it out so it was a line in the sky, that would be the celestial equator. Then we also have our ecliptic path. This is the path in the sky where the sun, the moon, and the planets appear to move through our sky. Now, as the sun moves along this ecliptic path, twice a year, it crosses over this celestial equator. We can measure the sun very precisely where it is in the sky and see exactly when its center crosses this line. That's when we know that it's the equinox and we have the astronomical equinox. Now, what would this look like from space? If we look at the Earth going around the sun from space, we can see that the Earth's north pole is tilted towards the sun sometimes during the year. In the northern hemisphere where we live, this would be the summertime when the North Pole is tilted towards the sun. But if we wait for 6 months to go by and we fast forward time until the Earth is on the other side of the sun, we can then see here in December the North Pole is tilted away from the sun, and up here in the northern hemisphere, we would have winter. So this green line here represents the Earth's orbit, but we could also think of it like that ecliptic path that we saw in the sky. We can also see we have the Earth's equator here, and we can see how the equator and this ecliptic path don't match up. But in those time periods between the first day of summer and the first day of winter, if we fast forward just a few months ahead to the equinox, then we can see that the North Pole isn't pointed towards or away from the sun. It's not tilted at all. And we can see the equator on the Earth is lined up with this orbit line or that ecliptic path. And we have our equinox. This would be going from winter to summer, so this would be our spring equinox. We're actually in the autumnal equinox, which would be when the Earth is lined up on this side of the sun. We just can't see it because the Earth would be blocking it here. But this is our autumnal equinox. If we were able to survive being very close to the surface of the sun, if we could be there by the surface of the sun and be looking back out at the Earth, we might see the Earth moving like this. Right now we can easily see the North Pole and the South Pole of the Earth if we were looking from the sun. If we fast forward in time, well, it appears that the Earth is tilting away from us. Its North Pole is tilting away from us. the South Pole is tilting towards us. And if we continue to wait through time, it'll come back and be standing up straight again. And then it'll appear that the North Pole is tilting towards us. So that equinox is that time when, from the sun's perspective, the Earth looks straight up and down. It's not tilted towards or away. And that's our autumnal equinox. From today until the winter solstice, every day will be shorter than the nighttime going forward. So these are going to take us into the shortest days of the year, which isn't very good for having a lot of time to go outside and play. You'll see the sun setting earlier and earlier, but it is a great time to see the stars and the planets come out much earlier. Tune in soon for our October edition of Evening Sky Excursions, where I'm going to show you all of the neat things that you can go and look for in the sky in October.